Did you know that the employer-employee relationship is the second deepest relationship after family, right? That is so deep. And that is the purpose of 9 to 5. Hi, for those who don't know me, my name is Wangare. I am the host and content creator of 9 to 5 with Wangare, where I talk about all things in the 9 to 5. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe if you fall on that under that category. And for those who are return viewers, thanks so much for the support, the love, the shares, the viewership. I'm really, really appreciative of that. Okay, so I'm super excited today. I have an amazing guest with me. She's a HR specialist. She's worked in Royal Media Services. She's worked at Kenya Alliance, and right now she's the managing partner of Savvy Consultancy. So I'd like to welcome Lucy Njimu. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Ongare, for the invitation. Lucy Njimu, and a HR expert who loves dealing with people.
You
I
love
have a
dealing with
passion
people.
for people.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
people who have a passion for people because
Yeah.
I'm also kind of the same. I love people as well, but sometimes they can be difficult.
Yeah.
And today we're talking HR policies. Wow, about Shrub, but HR policies. So let's just get started. You know, when you start a job, you're given this 25 document that's meant to be HR policies, and you're like, oh my God. Sometimes I read it for entertainment just because I'm like, wow, is that still a thing? But what are HR policies? Let's start there.
Okay. When you think of HR policies, I keep saying it's like the way you have a Bible in church.
Okay.
It's the same that you have the HR manual or policies within the organization. Why? Because it just stipulates the relationship that is there between the employer and the employee, so that at any one given time, there is consistency, there is guideline that governs how will I treat A, how will I treat B, so that it seems to be fair. And it addresses policies should address an employee from the time they join to when they exit. So it guides the employee while they're at work.
Okay, so it's
that
the Bible for work from the time you enter to the time you leave. I
Yes.
love that. Okay. So what are the basics? What should be in a HR policy?
Okay. Maybe the first thing is as you join the organization, first, the HR policy will tell you about what does the organization stand for. So from the mission, vision, you should be able to state it so that as you join, and even the organization structure, you don't want to meet the CEO and you don't know he's the CEO. So you know CEO is at the top. Are they HODs? So it stipulates the organization structure, which helps employees to get into the organization with ease. And then beside it, the other basic things are, just like I said, from entry to exit, it should say what governs you as an employee in terms of, as an employee, what is your working time? What kind of working conditions are supposed to be there? And then beside it, if we are recruiting, for example, what kind of caliber of people will we advertise? Will we send online? So a HR manual will say that how many people should we call for maybe an interview? Do we need a panel? So manual will say for this position, you need at least this number of panelists to interview. And it guides. So recruitment, it talks about performance a lot. And I'm passionate about performance management.
Yes.
And when you work, how do I know that Wangare is working in the first place? So it should tell me what will your KPIs be based on. And then beside that, and not each position, but it will say according to what you do. And then beside, how often will you be appraised? In case you don't perform well, you're put under what we call PIP, performance improvement. What are the penalties that can come, or how do you get yourself out of it? So it guides out performance management. It also talks about training.
Okay.
So because training is important. Once an employee join, how are people selected? What kind of courses? Some organization will even say we sponsor this. For example, in the insurance, if you're studying insurance, they tell you they pay for you because it's the critical thing that you need to know. So it talks about training. Are there any reimbursement? If somebody is going out of the country, what kind of allowances do they get? And then it talks about the salaries and benefits. How often do we pay? What does the salary cover? Salary, leave allowance, what kind of benefits do we have? It stipulates, and I know we'll talk a bit about benefits, but the HR manual, we talk about it. It talks about confidentiality also within the organization. What are this information? And most of the organization, you'll find you even sign a form because there's some information you shouldn't give out. If you're writing, for example, under HR policy, if I'm writing an email, you'll see some organization, it's consistent, it's the same.
Yeah.
If you're writing out externally, there's a way that you do. So it's also stated in there. And of course, finally, if you're exiting, how do you exit? How are you supposed to what kind of things should you return? If you're resigning, if we are firing you, unfortunately, or redundancy, how do we separate? It also talks about it. So essentially, those are the basis of our HR manual.
So with like a HR manual, you
Or policies.
or policies, you touched on some aspects. I want to, where do things like sexual harassment, drugs and alcohol in the workplace, should this be separate policies? Are they usually part of the main HR manual?
They are part of the HR manual, like the harassment, it will be there as a policy on its own, so that it stipulates what defines a harassment, grievances, how are you going to address them within the organization, sexual abuse. So it's part of it. So it has different parts, and towards the end, it will cover sexual harassment. Other than now the employee entry to exit, it will also cover sexual harassment. It will also cover things like disciplinary, like what I had not picked. In case something happens, how do we deal with the disciplinary issues? So it's part of the policy, and it's guided. The policy probably also, I should say, it's guided by two things. You have to take any legal regulation that is there, you have to ensure you capture it within the HR manual, and then also what the company stands for. But at any one given time, what takes precedence, if you're deciding on anything, legal. So anything in Employment Act is also taken into, in fact, not taken into consideration, must be there.
Must be there.
Yeah.
So is it HR policies, manuals a must? Because I know some organizations don't have it, some do. What's your take? Is it a must?
For me, I think as you start, probably for SMEs at the start, you start by doing things. But with time, as you grow, you need to formalize things. You need to have a way of consistency. And above all, it's a must for me as you grow, because it's a point of reference. If I'm here today, the HR, I have my way of doing things. I move, somebody else comes, they have their way of doing things. We'll never have organization A, this is our culture, this is the way we do things. So it gives us a point of reference. It's important. It gives us some fairness, equality in the way we treat people. So over time, for me, I look at it, when you're starting, probably if it's an SME, but for corporate, it's important to have. SMEs, as you grow, you reach a point, you should have it. You must have it.
You must have it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to touch on, how do you, like for SMEs, as you said, like these small businesses, how do you design, where do you start in terms of designing the policies? Is it something you'd crowdsource from different people, or is it something you'd get off Google? So how would you design the HR policy?
Okay, that is something that I do, because I told you earlier I support SMEs in terms of I'm their HR business partner. So I develop HR manuals for the ones that I work. And the first thing is you start with the legal. What is the standing? Like we need leave, 21. Then you need to consult with the management, because there's a way they want to do things. You will find organizations, standard, for example, leave is 21 days. But again, you want to give 30, 28. So you have to consult the management. Of course, you know the important, the key areas that you need to cover in a manual. So you have to consult the management, and also the employees, good to have their input. So I keep saying it's not about the management only, even the employees, you get their input on a number of things. They would want to be having sick of, for example, by law, maybe you say 7 days, but maybe the employees would feel 10. Reach out to the management, find if it is possible, and then you incorporate it. So it's both ways. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so you've already developed the manual.
Yeah.
How often is the policy meant to change? Because I've seen really a lot of redundant HR policies, which, they don't stand the test of time. For example, COVID. I don't think there's any corporate out here who would have imagined employees working from home, but they're employees working at home, and there are no policies governing this. Some don't even have working from home policy. How often should the manuals be changed and updated?
Okay, maybe COVID is a reality for most HR people because it just destabilized most of the things that we knew should happen. You should report 8 to 5. It's not there
Yeah.
anymore. So, so, so for me, I keep saying, first of all, change or updating, guided by if the Employment Act changes, you have to incorporate that into it. Second, after every 2 years, if you ask me,
Oh,
you
wow.
should still look at what is relevant. Have things changed the way we do things? And I know a number of organizations, they didn't see COVID come, but most of them were able to revise their policies to incorporate working from home, to incorporate that even people using even their devices at home. And you're dealing with company information, those confidentiality. And they had to even incorporate maybe salary changes.
Yes.
Because there was 50% cut or you're working for a quarter of your salary, they had to incorporate a number of changes into it. And even the benefit, maybe medical, you realize all of a sudden it's important. You aren't covering 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So it should be updated at least twice a year. And it's not the HR who updates only, it's a committee. You can form a
Interesting.
committee within the organization because you can only know so much about the people management, but everyone who is even a supervisor understands maybe there are some things they see that you didn't know. So a committee to revise, not just like the HR department.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of let's say I'm new to an organization
Yeah.
and I'm reading the policy and there's things there that I don't quite agree with. And I'd like them to change. Like what would you recommend? Is it to come speak to the person in charge of people and say, like, this clause in the policy doesn't make sense? Can we actually relook at it? What's the
Yeah.
process of
Okay. Maybe the first thing is you should not be reading the policy on your own.
Okay,
As
interesting.
a new employee,
Okay.
there's what we call induction.
Yes.
So you should be taken through
Okay.
the policy. So at that point, if there's something you feel doesn't make sense, it should be a discussion.
Yeah.
And to be honest, also we cannot be able to be changing policy for
Just
each employee who comes. We are saying this is the way we do things.
Yeah.
So that by the time you're onboarding,
Yeah.
are you okay
Yeah.
with the way we are doing things? If not, you hear people even after one month or 2 weeks, they decide this is not the place for me and they leave.
Yes.
So it should be a discussion
Yep.
at the beginning so that you understand what are you getting into. So
Okay.
that are you ready? Is it something that is out of place that can be relooked at? It should be because when you talk of HR, we are talking of human. So we should be
Yeah.
able to be flexible and see, can it be changed? But again, we should not be taking any recommendation and changing the policy. Then we stop having the standard way of the way we do things. Otherwise, it will just be erratic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. It's good to know.
Yeah.
I just wanted us to touch a bit on some of your experiences because I
Yeah.
know you've worked in media, you've
Yeah.
worked in insurance, you worked in like solution
Solution
companies,
companies, yeah,
tech, and now
yeah.
you're doing consultancy. Just what are the trends you've seen like in this different domains and space with regards to like human resources and policies and
Yeah.
how for example in media something is really specific and important that may not be that important say in insurance.
Okay. Maybe for me, I also work with manufacturing.
Yeah.
And for example, the insurance, which is corporate, most of the time, what is important to them are benefits, a number, especially insurance. You'll find they're so elaborate in terms of what are the benefits that are given. And then beside that, training and development in terms of they continuously develop people continuously, and it's set out on how it's supposed to be done. When you come to the media, it's an industry on the move.
Okay.
One, I will employ you because of your talent,
Yeah.
which for me was a shock. As in, when
'Cause
I'm
you're
in the
creative.
insurance, I want somebody who is a degree holder, ACII, and but in the media, I'm brought for this person, and I'm told, or maybe we are scouting, and this is the guy. Education does not matter.
They're creative.
It's creative, it's talent.
Yeah.
So that is something that when you are working in the two industries, especially with talent versus qualification and experience, it's different.
Yeah.
Significantly different.
Okay.
And then in the media, there's a way that it's a bit free,
Yeah.
the way things are done,
Yes.
as compared to corporates where you have to do this, even in the way you communicate and the rest. It's so specific. So in the media, there's a bit of flexibility in the way things are done. And that's where the industry is, as compared, if you went to manufacturing, for example, for them, it's more of overtime. I want to be paid overtime.
Yeah.
How will we pay the overtime, Because it's maybe you are at a lower level. So different industry, different things. And you have to know, even as a HR, what is important in this industry, find a way of making it better as you move from one industry to the other. So very interesting to deal with different industries. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a really interesting insight.
Yeah.
So in terms of you personally, which industry did you enjoy the most?
Okay. Probably from my background, being a teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the insurance was it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a way of doing things and introducing policies, moving the organization from one level to the other. And I would say I left a mark.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like my mother is also in insurance, and I think
Interesting.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see how you two can relate. She
Yeah.
really loves the policies, the
Wow.
process,
Okay.
the
Okay.
structures.
Yeah.
Do you have any last parting words on HR policies? I know sometimes, most of the times, employees don't actually pay attention to the policies.
Yeah.
It's as I said at the beginning, it's this like 25-page document that
Yeah.
you never read, and
Yeah.
you're like, whatever, I'll sign
Yeah.
to it. But sometimes, like, you're like, yeah, but you signed on that, you
Yeah.
know. Are there any last thoughts
Yeah.
or
Maybe my parting shot, maybe to employers first, is it's important to have the HR policy. Why? Because they guide. So don't overlook at it and say, we know the way we do things. Have it documented.
Yes.
From the employee part, it will affect you at one point. It's like that card that is pulled, but you signed this. So make sure that you're conversant. And where you do not understand, consult with whoever is in charge and have clarity, so that at the end of the day, you'll not say, I didn't know. They say ignorance is no defense.
Ignorance is no defense.
Yeah.
I love that.
So ensure that you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Lucy. That was a really great conversation.
Yeah.
I think definitely from now on, I'm going to be taking HR policies very serious,
Yeah.
read through them,
Yeah.
be telling organizations, please be updating every 2 years, because I think that's a really good recommendation that you've given.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. So that was Lucy. As she said, just to summarize, HR is like your Bible for work. So
Yeah.
it tells you from the point of entrance to the point of exit how that relationship should be. So make sure you read your policy, get to know it, because it's important. And thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and please comment, share. And thank you. Have a good one.